Prof is a member of the National Consultative Forum, a group that come out this week to say they've declared or they've set up a shadow cabinet. Professor Utomi is a political economist. Thank you for joining us. Unfortunately, we wanted to bring you earlier on the program because of the network issues, but it's good to see you now. Prof, why the issue of the shadow cabinet? There are so many issues in the land. What will this achieve for us?
So Nigeria is not being governed. And if you look and just listen to the conversation that you've been having, it shows you the tragedy of the fact that it's a triumph of politics. Nigerian people are hardly in these conversations. Political parties don't have programs. They don't have exactly a direction to make a difference in people's lives that they have set up. In that kind of situation, you can only get what we have today in Nigeria. Now, for the avoidance of doubt, whether it's PDP, APC, the truth of the matter is this is the most miserable place to live on earth today. All the statistics say so. Overtaking India in terms of absolute number of the most poor people on the planet. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation projections suggest that between Nigeria and Congo DRC, we're going to be giving the world 40% of its poorest people. And these are two of the most endowed countries in the world. Why are these things happening? This week, or this last week, World Health Organization released malaria figures. More people are dying. It's like Nigeria is in multiple civil wars. They're dying from insecurity with all the killings every day. More people are killed in Nigeria every day than in most of the major civil wars of the world. Then it comes to healthcare. The malaria one is incredible. Do we know the policy of the PDP on malaria? Do we know the track of the government? What do they think about malaria? Is there some, when President Obasanjo first came, he had a rollback malaria program. And today we are dying more from malaria than any other people on the planet Earth. This is very simple. It is because there is no opposition in Nigeria that can speak alternatives, can deal with the big major issues. Not you stole, you did not steal. I mean, these things are all pedestrian. We know that Nigeria is one of the most corrupt countries in the world. It's gotten worse. The statistics are all there. So we don't even want to, how do we come up with ideas, big ideas, not talk about big men. You said that, Atiku said that. It's not about big men. It's got to be about big ideas to make the lives of people better. And we're not seeing that because the political
Prof,
parties
you said something that is a bit, I know you're not flippant. You say things and you say them intentionally. When you say
yes,
Nigeria is now more corrupt,
absolutely,
what
numbers
exactly
are there
do you
to
mean
prove
by
it.
that? Can you expatiate on that?
Did you see the numbers? Did you see the numbers just this week on leakages out of OECD figures about corruption in West Africa? You don't even have to try. You can see it every day. You know, what pains me is that many of us threw everything we had into this business because we thought we were going to create an anti-corruption regime. And we've ended up with a more corrupt regime than I think we have ever had in Nigeria. I can prove it. I can bring you the numbers from everywhere, OECD reports, and so on and so forth.
You need to be educated tonight, because yeah, just like you're one of those who said, look, you put in everything, and we all thought that, oh, this is a government that came out to say it wants to fight corruption. But when you say that this is perhaps the most corrupt that we have seen in ages, then it would be good to educate us, Prof.
I've just given you a few of the sources. Just this week, OECD reports about several African countries and the fact that there are more leakages and more, from these countries there. There was a report on West Africa a couple of months ago, which I think I mentioned when I came on here the last time, that showed exactly the same things, that corruption is increasing, not decreasing in Nigeria. And that is a big shame. And, this is really because I think people have not come to look at the real effect of corruption. It kills. I mean, when a 21-story building comes down, assuming people were living in it, it will slaughter. And this is because of corruption. This is because we don't keep standards. We don't do things like that. And it's Nigeria writ large. It's not PDP, it's not APC. We need as a country to sit down. It's not a matter of blaming this or blaming that, to say, how can we save our country? We have a collapse of culture. Our values have gone so south that any fair-minded person, and why does it happen that way? Because we have state capture. Politics has been reduced to how do you capture the state and use for your own aggrandizement. If politics were not about state capture, you would see people who come out, give sacrificially of themselves to achieve immortality, of making a difference in the lives of others. But that is not the case that we see in our country, very sadly. If discussions about politics, oh, who will win? Ah, that man, he has kept 500 billion for presidency. You know, you don't have enough. How can you build a country? A person who keeps 500 billion to run for president, I'm a professor of business, don't forget that, Sheung. He's going to get a return on his investment. By the time he begins to get it, there will be nothing to run the country. And this is what has unfortunately happened. We have not been able to reform the political process, to get money out of politics, to get people who should not be in politics. Look, and I can say this, a very respected professor of law on a program, an LBS program months ago, Professor Koinsolaja, he said, you know, maybe we should prevent everybody who has held public office since 1999 from participating in public life, because the culture has just polluted the country. We need to begin again. We have forgotten what politics is supposed to be about. It's about power.
If I may cut in quickly, sorry. The politics as dirty as it's portrayed or is being depicted is unfortunately the only option or the alternative that our constitution, the ground norm, has given to us for us to have leadership in this country.
But
that is the only way by which we can seek hope in this country, no matter what situation that we have. So how do we get out of here? Because your group, the NCF, is talking about the third force. We've seen a few people also whom have, from what you said, Professor Koinsolaja here has described, that maybe those who have been in politics in 1999 should be excused out of the thing. But the question is that the third force, or the NCF itself, what hope are you preaching that Nigerians can catch, such that you can tell Nigerians that this is what you have as an alternative to what we have on the ground today?
I'm concerned about systems and processes that can make things work, rather than talking about people and those kinds of things. What is clear is that you take the example of South Korea. South Korea was saved from a fate like ours because it had an electoral commission that said, look, this thing with money politics and all this not working for our country. The electoral commission of its own decided that the way that people should run for office should be through debate at every level. You debate on the streets, you debate in classrooms, you debate on television, and people's ideas about how to change the world. I'll just give you an example of malaria. Malaria is wiping us out as a country. What is the policy of any political party on malaria? I can tell you that has been developed. The idea of the NCF and the shadow teams is to get clusters of thinking people into areas and in a collegial way take on healthcare issues, education issues, general economic policy, and so on and so forth. And these teams, what the teams will now do is a service to society above and beyond everything else, not just politics. Every week, literally, they will take a position against whatever government has done. They will take a position offering an alternative perspective. I can tell you, for example, on malaria, that there is a vaccine that is efficacy more than 80% being tested it's been tested in Nigeria, in Haiti, in Rwanda. And part of the trust of policy from the health team is to say, look, a big part of our strategy must be to include a malaria vaccine. and get rid of malaria, which, as you know, many economists have argued that the reason that we are poor in Africa is because of the malaria effect, which is the original reason that President Obasanjo brought the rollback malaria program. It was part of Jeffrey Sachs' counsel that Africans are unable to produce because they are often weakened by malaria, and that's why it's not a competitive continent. I have argued against that, you know, in other situations, to say policy is more important than geography or destiny, which that tends to suggest. But we recognize that malaria is a major part of the problem of production in our country. And our country suffers because it does not produce. So these kinds of issues, we want to see political parties have clear planks on everything like that, from education. I mean, we know most of the conversations around how human progress has taken place. Focus, for example.
So, sorry, I'm cutting in again. So the big question is that we're looking at what is presently obtainable in Nigeria under this present government, and the alternatives, the policy alternatives that the NCF and the shadow cabinet is going to be bringing on board. But let's look at it in this way and try to, perhaps in the mind of Nigerians, find a solution ahead of the new election, I mean, the coming election here, because they will be able to make a decision. How would you describe the situation of things in the country based on the promises made by the APC government in 2019? Would you say it is failed? So from that moment, we can then start looking at opportunities of fixing it, whether or not they're on the right track in fixing the present predicament of the country.
Sharon, the Nigerian condition is tragic. It's nothing short of a crisis. Problem of Nigeria is the Nigerian politicians, and I would say in general, I generalize that on the go PDP, APC. Nigerian politicians don't even have empathy for the Nigerian people. If they had empathy, you would see it. Look, all these numbers that we are throwing out about the poverty rates, if politicians were really politicians, the fellows who run around running Nigeria were politicians, they would respond in terms of their behavior to the fact that poverty is the #1 thing ruling Nigeria. But look at the motorcades of governors. Look at presidential jets as they fly around the place. It shows that there is a complete disconnect between the political class and the people, and the pain that the people suffer. Look, President Obasanjo as head of state, military head of state, oil prices come down. Things look, and he says, look, we're going to cut our coat according to our cloth, not according to our size. And he comes down as president to push your 504. And that's what he wrote as president of Nigeria, and everybody else was 504 down. But look at the lifestyle of politicians and compare it with where Nigerians are. Every day, all I get is alerts from people. Even when I don't have, I think, where can I get to this person? Because poverty rules this land. But do you see it reflected in the behavior of Nigerian political class? No, you don't. And that is the real problem. Once you can capture the state,
I don't know, because we are totally out of time. If in 30 seconds you can tell us, what should Nigerians be hopeful about? What is a way out? What is a solution? In 30 seconds, if you can do that for us.
Nigerians must take back their country. This is a class of politicians who believe that politics is a politics for politicians by politicians. You know, in the interest of politicians, we would like to get civil society more active. The problem of Nigeria is the complicit middle, the middle that sits and watches and prays against these people. No, they should not pray against them. They should stand up. Look, the voter register in this country is such that how many percentage of the population actually even register? How many actually vote? Everybody should mobilize, go there, vote out the political class that does not care about the people, and vote themselves in. And let's create and build a new country that can lead to progress for all of the peoples of Nigeria, not for politicians who are looking to acquire the next billion.
I wish that we could extend this conversation pretty much. I think we should create an avenue where we can have an extensive look into this conversation, because now we're thinking about leadership for the next general election and how to get away from these conundrum that the country has found itself. But I must sincerely thank you, Professor Utomi, for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Pleasure's all mine.
Thank you.